Now, by the virtue of the authorities vested in me, and by the Boy Scouts of America, I hereby award you the Eagle rank. You may be seated. That's all for me. Scouts, you may be seated. That's all for me. I do believe that is all for me for right now. Next up is the mothers? Next. Who? Our speaker, Sheriff Eakin. Would you like to come up here? I don't. There you go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
I'm going to set my timer because I was told that I was given, especially with the mic, that I have 2 hours. It is an honor and a privilege to be here, to be a part of your day, getting your Eagle Scout. That is quite the achievement. But there are 3 things that I want to talk about: leadership, adversity, and the unknown. When you don that uniform, I think it goes without saying that anyone in our country, let alone probably different parts of the world, know that who you are and that you are a leader. They automatically consider you a leader. When you're not in that uniform, if people know that you're in the Scouts, you're considered a leader. And I can tell you from my time in the military, if I found out one of my teammates were on the Scouts or in the Scouts, I automatically charged them with more responsibility because I knew they could handle it. Leadership isn't something that we should take lightly. We should never let leadership leave the lips of our mouths without knowing the importance of what it actually means. A lot of people will use the term leadership just to generally describe, somebody in a certain position, someone with a title. But if you think about how many traits there are in leadership, if you think about how many theories there are in leadership, if you think about how many styles of leadership there are, we can never just place one type of leadership, place us into one type of leadership. We've all heard of, different styles of leadership. We can think of different characters or people in the world, or especially in our country, who have held leadership positions. And we think, wow, they're a leader. But there's one thing that you have to have in order to be a leader, and that's followers. Without followers, you're not a leader. So everything as I reflect on everything that was said just in the last 20 minutes, and all the bricks up here with the candles on it, yeah, there's a lot to live by. There's a lot to live by. You have to have followers. And so how do you get followers? By doing the right thing. Adversity. You're already familiar with adversity. All the challenges that you had to accept and overcome. Everything that I see on your uniforms. I know there's a story behind every single one of those items. You have to overcome adversity. Do we have a choice to overcome adversity? No. We have to keep going. There are going to be things that happen in your lives, or happen in our lives, especially the younger generation, the Scouts that are coming up, that you're going to think, how in the world am I going to get through this? But just know that you have the skills that you've learned, that you've achieved while in the Scouts. I've experienced a lot of adversity in my life. One of those was growing up without a father, being homeless by the age of 8 for 2 years, living in our car, and then dropping out of high school when I was 16 years old because I thought it was more important to work 3 jobs to help support my mom and my brother. But I overcame those challenges. I finally got my GED and I joined the Army. 8.5 years I was in the Army. Had a great, short but great military career. I was a parachute rigger when I was enlisted, jumped out of airplanes, everything airborne I did. Jumped out of airplanes, skydived. I was a jump master, a malfunction NCO, which was a non-commissioned officer, and I was the one that responded to incidents where parachutes didn't open, whether it was a jumper or equipment. After I earned my associate's degree, it allowed me to go to flight school, and I ended up being a UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter pilot. I was at the pinnacle of my career. For 8 years, I trained to go to either Afghanistan or Iraq. But when I was 26 years old, they diagnosed me with adult onset asthma. They permanently grounded me and told me to find a new job. I was devastated. But I didn't have a choice to let it overcome me. I had a small family. My 2 oldest boys were young, very young, so I had to find a job. So I went into law enforcement. The Phoenix Police Department was hiring, and I signed up. Now keep in mind, being in law enforcement was the last thing that I ever thought I was going to go into. The neighborhoods that I grew up in, there was no community-oriented policing. When the cops showed up, you either ran, whether you were doing something right or wrong. It didn't matter. Because if you were doing something wrong, you didn't want to get caught. If you weren't doing something wrong, then you didn't want to be known as the snitch. So here I am, 27 years old, going into training for law enforcement on the streets of West Phoenix. 23 years later, here I am today. I've had quite the career. I earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice, a master's degree in business administration, and a doctorate of education in ethical leadership. Ethical leadership. Those are 2 words that I never thought would have to be said in the same sentence. But as we know, with any good leader, there's equally the opportunity to be a bad leader. And that's what I got my doctorate in. And it was quite eye-opening. But as far as adversity in law enforcement, if you think about how many times I've experienced trauma in my life, if you think about how many times you've experienced trauma in your life, the average person experiences trauma once or twice, is what the studies say, in their lifetime. Law enforcement experiences it 1 or twice at least every day when they're on the job. The reason why I say all that is because no matter what has happened in my life, I know that if I can do it, you can do it as well. So whatever challenges that you face, whenever it comes your way, just know that you have the skills to overcome it. And what happens if you feel like you don't have the skills? Look who's here to celebrate with you. You have a network that you can call upon. Don't be afraid to ask for help. It is so vitally important to ask for help, especially when you need it. Because if you don't, things just get worse. And it takes a lot more to overcome that challenge. Now, for the unknown. Man, we're only promised today. Be in the now. Don't worry about tomorrow, because we are not promised tomorrow. When I was in Afghanistan, I was there for 3 years. And I finally realized that if I had the gift of waking up the next morning, then I was going to live my life to the fullest. Because some of my friends didn't get that gift. But we have to continue to push through. A lot of the fear that we experience in our life is because of the unknown. But are we just going to stop? No. Keep pushing through. keep pushing through. I remember the first time I jumped out of an airplane. I didn't know what it was going to be like. I was scared out of my mind. And then I jumped, and I was like, wow, my parachute opened. Everything worked out exactly like the instructors told me it would. And then I ended up doing it 99 more times, roughly. I didn't always have perfect landings. A couple of them, when I would wake up, shake it off, I'd get up, pack my parachute into my parachute bag, and then run off the drop zone, because that's what I was trained to do. How do you get better at something? Keep educating yourself. Keep educating yourself. Never pass on the opportunity to know more about something. In my 49 years, short 49 years, I've moved 38 times, lived in 10 states and 3 countries. I'm not scared of change. In fact, I embrace it. With embracing change, to the 5 scouts, one sitting over there, he didn't know where to sit. There's a certificate of recognition for you from the Clay County Sheriff's Office, recognizing you for your achievement today. There's also one of our shoulder patches. There's also my coin, the sheriff's coin. On that coin, it has our mission statement and our guiding values. Our mission statement is embrace change, ... create value, ... inspire others, ... Now you notice that I placed the emphasis on the ellipses, because when you think about an ellipsis, it means there's more to the story. And so what I've told my people is, we all know how to be in law enforcement. Being a cop is really easy. Now, the job is really easy, knowing what we're supposed to do. But there are challenges every day that we face. But when we do our job, how are we embracing the change that we're faced with? That ... is meant for the individual. How are they embracing change? How do they create value in everything that they do, especially when they're in uniform? And not just in their uniform, in their everyday life.